dependency of Java 8. So this application is running with Java 8. And there is one more application which we are running. And this application is if what happens if the client is asking for creating another application. Okay, if the client is trying to create another application, he wants an advanced application. So we are going to create this application in Java 11 with more number of dependencies, more number of compatibilities. I'm going to install that. I'm going to run the application. So in my computer or else in my workstation or in your workstation, so you will be able to run this particular application. You will be able to run this application with all the dependencies, whatever you want. But if the same application, we are trying to deploy it on our server, on whatever the server that the previous application is running. If I try to deploy this newer version of application on the server, what is going to happen? Whether both the applications will be running on the server? Is it possible for us to run both the application on the server? Not now. Now it is possible, but I am talking about somewhere like 2010, 2011 at that particular point of time.
No, there is issues will come because Java 8 and 11, if both we have installed, the class loader issues might come.
So you will face certain issues
Yes.
related to the application. Okay, now we are having a concept of update alternatives, alternative configs. We can do that, and we can update from one version to the another version. Still, for a certain application, we will having certain configuration issues. So those will be there. But any which ways, on a single server, we are not able to run the multiple version of the application. So what I have to do, I need to purchase another server. So I need to purchase another server. Server is not a very small thing. It is not a simple laptop or workstation kind of thing. Server is a very huge resource which we are investing. So this huge resource will be having so many dependencies, and these dependencies will be a lot of trouble. I mean, so we have to check with all the configurations. We have to put so much of trouble to run the server. So now what has happened? So this is the main problem. What is this? So when you are running the application on your computer, it is running. Whenever you are moving this application from your workstation to the server, it is not running. So why it is not running on the workstation? So let me give you a very small example so that you can catch my point. So now, for example, Home got a job. Okay, so when he's trying for a job, he's searching the job. So now when Home got a job, he is throwing a party for his colleagues or for his friends. Now when he is giving a party, now he is preparing a very wonderful dish for his friend. Now when he is cooking, so he made his very delicious food, and he gave it to all his friends, and they liked it a lot. Now his friend or one of his friend asked that, how you made this food? I just want to know about that, and I want the recipe of that food so that I can cook the same food in my home. If you can please share the recipe to me, I will do that. So now what is happening? So just like your application, how we are sharing the application only. So in the same manner, Om has shared the recipe to his friend. Now when Om shared the recipe to his friend, what is going to happen? So he went to his home and he started preparing the food. When he started preparing the food, what is happening here? He is having a problem. Okay, so the taste might be different, the texture might be different. Whatever the food that he is preparing, it might be different. So why? Because whatever the environment that he is cooking, that will be different. Whatever the ingredients that he is using, that might be. So because of all these things, what is happening? Whatever the dish that Om has prepared, and when he gave only the recipe to his friend, then it will be something differently it came. So now his friend called to Om and said that you prepared the food and it is very delicious. When I prepared the food, it is not that much up to the bar. So you didn't give me a proper recipe. So the same will happen with your development also. Whenever you created your application in your laptop, the application will be working fine. Why? Because it's an Windows environment. In Windows environment, the dependencies will be something different. When you move this application to the server, most of the servers in the IT industry will be the Linux servers. So now you are going to face an issue. Why? Because the application which you prepared is in the Windows environment. And when the application is moved into the server, the application is running onto the Linux environment. So now there is a lot of issues you are going to face with the Linux environment. So what is that? There might be difference in the environment, there might be difference in the dependencies, there might be difference in a lot of things. So to overcome this problem, what we have to do? So the same, if you see the previous generalized example, whatever the cooking example that I have said. So what is the troubleshooting for that? When your friend called you and said that you have given the recipe, but it is not working fine, then what you are going to do? I'm asking in general way. When your friend says the same thing and he says that this is not good or something, so then what you are going to do? Tell me, guys. You will be sit calmly.
Yeah,
What you will do? What you will do, Sunil?
this scenario,
If
yeah,
your
yes,
friend says that whatever the
yeah,
food that you have given, whatever the recipe you gave is something different, it is not working in my home, but it is working in your home. You are preparing the same food, but I am unable to prepare the same food and texture. What you will do? What I will do here is
yeah,
I will take a container, I will take a box. In the box, I will put each and every ingredient in a proper weight, and I will write the recipe inside the container and I will give it at what time, which ingredient you have to put, each and everything. I will detailedly give it to my friend. So now what is happening? I am packing the entire ingredients with recipe and submitting it to my friend. So when he cooks the same food, now this time whether he is going to get the same output or not, is whatever the output, whatever the food that I have prepared, so the same food will be prepared by him, right?
yeah,
So in the same manner, think of like we have an application. This application is having certain dependencies and these dependencies are not working on our server. So now what I can do, I can pack the entire application to a container, whatever the dependencies, whatever the application are there. So I can pack the entire container, entire application into a container, and I can run this container in any environment, not only in the development environment, not only in the production environment. In any environment, I am going to run that particular container. So this is what we are going to do. So now these containers will be very vulnerable. So we will discuss about the containers, but the point is, so what is a container? Container is a lightweight package of your applications and its dependencies. Simple definition. What is a container? Container is a lightweight package of application and its dependencies. What is this lightweight package? So now when you see here, we have a server. In server, we are facing some problem. Physical server, we are facing some problems. So what means the 100% utilization of resources won't be happen, and as well as the application will not be running properly. So a single application only I can run in a single server. So that is a lot of issues with me. I mean, lot of issues will be there with the server. So to overcome this problem, what I am going to do here is I am going for a configuration of virtualization. I'm going with a configuration of virtualization. Now you said, someone said me, did anybody said me that you are working with AWS environment?
yeah.
Okay,
We are deploying our applications in AWS.
okay. So in AWS, you heard about EC2 instances?
Yes, yes, instances.
Good. So now what is this virtualization? Virtualization means whatever the physical hardware that you are having, that physical hardware, for example, this is your physical server, which is having some, what I can say, 16 CPU, 16 CPU, and some 256 GB of RAM is there for this server. So this is my physical hardware. Now, when this physical hardware is there, what about the virtualization? The virtualization which I am creating is like of bare metal virtualization. I will call it as type 1 virtualization. So what I'm going to do here is inside my server, whatever the server that I'm having right now, inside my server, I can create a virtualized software. Okay, so this is my virtualization. Okay, So inside that, what I can do, I can install a virtualization software. So which virtualization software I'm going to install over here means I'm going to install what was that VMware ESXi, or I can run Citrix, or I can run what else we are having, hypervisor, Windows hypervisor. Okay, so this directly I'm going to install on my hardware. So whatever the virtualization components that you are seeing, the software you are seeing, I'm directly going to install on my hardware. So now after this, what is going to happen? I'm going to create a virtual machine inside this particular server. So this virtual machine will have whatever the virtual machine that you are seeing. This virtual machine will have some, depending on the requirement. So now what I am going to do here is we will have the VM. So inside the VM, I'm having my operating system. So I will install directly my operating system inside this VM. So if I have to show you, there will be an application. Okay, there will be an application. Okay, so if I have to show you, let me do one thing. So this is my virtual machine, which I am running right now. So this is my physical computer. Whatever you are seeing, this is my physical computer. My physical computer is having some 3 gigahertz processor and some 16 GB of RAM is there. So inside this computer, I'm going to run the Red Hat server. So I'm going to run the Linux server over here. Okay, I'm going to run the Linux server over here. Okay, so now if you see, my physical resource consumption will be slowly increasing. Previously, it is 9 GB. Now the RAM utilization is slowly increasing up to 13 GB. Why? Because the server is about to turn on. So at the time of initializing, at the time of starting, obviously the computer will consume a lot of resources. Once it is turned on, then it will take a very little amount of resources. Now, if you can see, at a particular point of time, it might be reduced. Okay. So now that is how your virtual machines will be working out. So now if you can see here, what I am saying, there will be, so I am having a very small workstation because of which I can run only a few virtual machines. So now when I am running these virtual machines will be consuming the resources from my physical hardware, and the operating system which I am installing on this virtual machine is my RHEL, Red Hat Linux. So inside this operating system, what I can do here is I can install whatever the application that I want. So now if you see, okay, so this is about the virtualization. But the main problem with the virtualization is here you can have the virtual machine VM, and then you will be having VM2, VM3, like that you will be having several virtual machines will be available inside a VM. And here you will be having another virtual machines. Depending on my server capacity, I can increase number of virtual machines and I can run multiple number of applications. Okay, so this is what going to happen. Now, when this is happening, this is fine. But if I want to migrate any virtual machine from one environment to the another environment, for example, this physical server is available in the development environment. Now I want to move this virtual machine from development to production environment. Then I have to pack the entire virtual machine. Now, what is the main problem here means this virtual machine will be having the operating system. So the components of the operating system, it is kernel, operating system, binaries, libraries, okay, additional softwares, and then you will be having your application, obviously, application and its dependencies, like that. So if I have to give you an example, for example, again, coming back to the point, Sunil has gotten a promotion and he wants to go, I mean, he needs to go to Delhi for the training. I don't know where are you, from where you are coming today, but I'm taking just an example.
Yeah.
So You got a promotion that you need to go to Delhi for a training. So in your home, you have your personal computer. In your home, you are having your personal bed. Your home, you are having all your things. There are so many personal things are there. And as well as you have your clothes, closet and everything. Are you going to uh, take all these assets with you, or else whenever you are moving, or else whenever you are going from your home, or else from one place to another place, are you going to carry all these packages?
No.
No, right? Only whatever required for you is you are going to carry the necessities. In the
Yes.
same manner, if you can see here, inside the virtual machine, what is going to happen? If I have to pack a virtual machine, this virtual machine will have an operating system, and then it will have a kernel, and then it will have the additional utilities and the applications, and finally your application and its dependencies will be packed. So now if you can see with this unwanted stuff, lot of unwanted things are migrating. So this is the reason why it is becoming a heavy weighted package. So for example, uh, if I have to take the snapshot of this particular virtual machine and transfer it from one environment to the another environment, it is going to take some 25 GB of space. So to transfer that 25 GB of space, I mean application from one environment to the another environment will be a little bit time taking. So to overcome this problem, what I have to do? So I need to go ahead with a very lightweighted applications, very lightweighted virtualization. So now whatever the virtualization that you are seeing here, whatever that I have shown you, this is called as hosted virtualization. And whatever I diagrammatically explained you, this is called as bare metal virtualization. What is the difference means? In bare metal, directly you are going to run the virtualization component on the hardware. Okay. On top of that, you are going to run the virtual machine. But in hosted virtualization, we will be having the hardware. Inside the hardware, we will be having an operating system. This is my Windows 11 operating system. That is the host OS. On top of that, I am running a virtual machine. Inside the virtual machine, I am going to install one more operating system that is called as guest OS. Inside that, I can run the application. So this is called as type 2 hypervisor or hosted hypervisor. These are the two types of hypervisors that you are having. Now, whatever the AWS EC2 instances that you are seeing or Azure virtual machines that you are seeing, they will come under the category of bare metal virtualization. They will come under the category of bare metal virtualization. So now I don't want this virtualization should be there. Whatever you are calling it as a hardware virtualization, I don't want the hardware virtualization to be there. Okay. So now what has happened in the generations of time by 2015 or 2016, so some IT industry has developed, or the people of IT industry developed a new software which is called as Docker. So now what is this Docker going to do? You will have a hardware. On the top of the hardware, you will have an application. I mean, you will have the operating system. On the top of the operating system, we will have the Docker engine installed. We'll have the Docker engine installed. On the top of the Docker engine, we will have our containers running. So this is a container, and inside the container, we will have an application running. Okay, inside the container, the application will be running. So now if you see what is happened between these two, so there will be hardware and there will be OS and there will be containerization platform or containerization engine like Docker, Podman. So if you see in Red Hat Linux, we will have by default with Red Hat Linux 8, you will get a specialized containerization component called as Podman. So if you see Podman version, Podman PS, whatever the command that we are using with the Docker, see that Podman is also a part of your containerization link. If config, I will try to access this on my uh, console 192.168.223.1.9. So see here, I'm accessing that Red Hat server on my terminal. So now when you see whatever I am using, the podman, whatever I am using. So I can use the podman same as like a Docker also. Okay. So that is also a containerization platform. Podman, yeah, podman ps, podman run -itd -name web app with the Ubuntu image. When I run this, a container will be created. Podman ps, look at that, a container got created. So Podman is also a containerization platform, just like your Docker. So either you can work with Docker, Podman, RKT, Containeriddy, CRIO, like that. You are having so many different kinds of containerization engines are available. On the top of that, we can run a container. Container. Finally, we are going to run the application. But inside this container, we are not going to install any sort of operating system. Now, if you see, in the Podman also, if you see here, I used Ubuntu. I totally accept that. Ubuntu I have used, but that is not an operating system. That is just an image. Okay, so which will have the binaries and libraries. Apart from this, we don't have anything. Podman execute -it web app and bash. So now if you see, we are inside the container. So when we are inside the container, you can run the ls-l. So whatever the commands that are used to run your Ubuntu operating system, all the commands you can run it. But this is not an operating system. This is just an image. Okay, so we are not going to install. So if you want to install an operating system, what you have to do, you need to have that bootloader files, and then you need to install that. So you need to choose an hard disk, everything you should do. But when you come to the containerization platform, we are not going to run the operating system. So apart from that, what we are doing here is, apart from that, what we are doing, we are using the image. So when we are using the image doesn't have any unnecessary things. So like previously in operating system, we will have the kernel, we will have the unnecessary software, but in container, we will have only the binaries and the libraries that are required to run your application and its dependencies. So now to move this container from one environment to the another environment, it will be very easy. What we are going to do here is, this container will be packed into a Docker image, and that Docker image can be moved into the another environment, and we can run the image as a container in that environment. So this is very easy in the Docker. So when you compare to virtualization, when you compare to the physical servers, software virtualization or Docker is a very simple way of moving the environment from, moving the application from one environment to the another environment within short span of time. So that's why we are going with the containers. Now I hope you understand about what is meant by a container. So any questions here?
No, Chaitanya.
Both. Okay. So this is about your container. Now inside the container, we are running the application. Now what exactly is a container? You are saying that the container will have the application, container will have the dependencies, but what exactly is a container? So what exactly is a container? We'll discuss in the next session. Okay. So now what I am going to explain you here is, what is the syllabus, Docker syllabus. In Docker, we are going to learn about what is Docker, what is container, and then we will be discussing about what is or else Docker architecture, and then Docker life cycle or container life cycle, and then Docker network, Docker volume, images, Docker volumes and binding. Okay, then Docker compose, Docker swarm. So these are the things that we are going to cover in the Docker. And when you come to the Kubernetes, now what is meant by Kubernetes? You are saying something about the Docker. In Docker, there will be container which will be hosting the application. That is what you are saying. Okay, I understand what you are saying. Now, what is the meaning of this Kubernetes? So before, let me ask you a question before I take you to the Kubernetes. You are working in a company as an employee. Okay. You have a team. Okay. Either it might be you are a developer, as a developer, you will have the service team. Now, your CEO came to you and has given a project to the everyone, or else your manager came to you and not a manager on the higher level. So someone has come to you and asked you to create certain projects and they have given the requirements. So now when you are creating the project, who will do the management of employees? Who will do the this employee came today, this employee doesn't came today, this employee did up to this much of project, this employee doesn't do this much of project. So who is going to take care of all these things? Hmm. Do you understand my question? Who will take care
Yeah.
of you? Simply, if I have to ask you.
Yeah, the DevOps engineers are.
No, no, no. I'm talking
Yeah.
about if you got a project,
Yeah.
so in your team, who will manage you? So this employee came today, this employee doesn't came today.
Yeah, leader
But
manager.
the lead or manager will be there on top of you. So
Yeah.
he will be managing. The same
Yeah.
manner when containers are running, containers are just like the employees. Sometimes if heavy load is there on the employee head, he is
Yeah.
going to freeze out. He will not do any work. Okay, despite of having load also, he will stuck. He will say that I am unable to do this. So can you please share the work, or else he will stuck out. So who is
Yeah.
going to manage that? The manager will take care of it, right? In the
Yeah.
same manner, in a container is running, so the container will be overly utilizing the resources. When the containers are overly utilizing the resources, they will go into the hang state. When they go into the hang state, Kubernetes is the one who is going to manage that. So Kubernetes is the manager of your containers. Okay. So
Yeah.
how it is going to manage that we will see. So what we are going to discuss here is we will be discussing about K8s architecture, monolithic and microservices, monolithic and microservices, and we will be discussing about what else we have, workload components. Then we will be discussing about services, and then ingress, probes, uh, sidecar, advanced scheduling. You don't worry about these things. Now you are very new to the advanced scheduling. So very new to the Kubernetes. You will not understand this quite terminology. When we go into the Kubernetes, you will slowly understand about all the things. Okay, advanced scheduling, and later what we are having. RBAC, storage, help, network policies. We'll be discussing about GitOps, and then STO. Finally, AWS EKS. With this, we are going to wind up the entire Kubernetes configuration. So that is the syllabus for your Kubernetes. Okay.
Okay.
So any questions from your end? I know. We went very slow. I mean, we went through a lot of things very fastly. But when you join the session, this won't be like that. Okay,
Okay.
this will be very slowly. Practically, we are going to do that. Okay,
Yeah. Okay.
right. So if you have any question, you can ask me.
No, it's fine.
Uh, Fine then. Have a
Yeah.
nice day, and we'll meet in the next session.
Yeah. Thank you, Chaitanya.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.